Sales reps have a problem. They don't ask for enough. Ask for what you want. When salespeople who are conditioned to ask for what they want don't ask, then it's safe to assume they don't know what to ask for. In the U.S., salespeople tend to offer things to prospects freely. You want a demo? I can do that. Free training? No problem. Our initial impulse is to be generous in the hope that our generosity will help seal deals. But no problem are the worst two words for a salesperson. Everything you do for a sale costs money. We're culturally conditioned to give and give and give and hope that our largesse will be rewarded in the end. It's that kind of thinking that leaves us with deals that can lose money. Maybe you have an almost mythical image of bargaining in your head. Smoke-filled rooms, union reps in shirt sleeves hammering out last-minute deals. Press conferences with lots of posturing and threats and counter-threats flying about. But that grandiose sense of bargaining neglects one important fact for salespeople. You are negotiating at the moment when a prospect asks you for anything at all. Salespeople tend not to worry about those costs. They'll gladly slip information in the mail or arrange meetings with experts without fretting about the cost at all. That's a bean counter's problem, something for the CFO to worry about. But each thing you give away diminishes the ultimate return on your time and effort needed to make the sale. Once you understand the relationship between what you give and what you get in the sales process, you can begin to judge whether a prospect is viable or not. You can begin to kill bad deals in your pipeline. Once a deal is in your pipeline, it can be nearly impossible to kill. You keep hold of these dead birds. Often big deals with longer sales cycles will start to putrefy before you finally toss them out. But more importantly, you'll know what to ask for. By using a scorecard, you'll know what to ask for in response to a prospect's requests. What makes forecasting hard? Many things. You're dependent on other people and on changing economic conditions. You're also overly optimistic. Salespeople are the worst sources of sales forecasts imaginable. Funnel meetings. We like to call them story time. What's the worst phrase for a sales manager to hear in a funnel meeting? Let me give you a little background. Translation? The sale's not going to happen. When you pass up your sales forecast, managers compensate and apply management judgment to your numbers. How can you reduce subjectivity in your forecast? Simple. Rely on actions, not words. You want to establish an atmosphere of reciprocity in your sales negotiations. When someone asks you for something, there is a fleeting moment when they feel obligated to give you something in return. If you ask for something in return immediately and at the right level, equal to what they are asking for, then it's relatively easy for them to give it to you. You don't want to be constantly giving with nothing received in return. Transferring ownership of the sale requires the prospect to become actively engaged, to perform concrete tasks to move the sale along. They must also respond in kind, must bargain in good faith. If prospects ask for the moon, but aren't willing to lift a finger to give you what you need, your relationship is unhealthy. Conversely, if prospects give without asking anything in return, then consider yourself column fodder. They need to keep you on the hook as they're dealing with multiple vendors. Asking for reciprocity can't be mechanical. You can't just say, sure, I'll do that for you, but first you have to do this for me. That sounds like you're either a loan shark or in kindergarten. Instead, you have to reframe your request as a way to realize the benefit of what they've asked you for. Sure, I'm happy to present you with a demo, and in order to get you exactly what you want from the demo, we're going to need to do this, this, and this. How do we make that happen? You've rephrased your request in terms of benefit to the client, not as digging your heels in. A scorecard will keep your anxiety in check. Remember, you and your prospect have different attitudes towards asking for things. For instance, they feel no embarrassment in asking you for things, none whatsoever. They expect salespeople will bend over backwards and sweeten the deal or keep negotiations alive. You don't want to threaten your rapport by making demands, so you may assume a position of inferiority. Unconditional love should not be the basis of your sales philosophy. You want assurances, visible proof of your prospect's faithfulness. You want to push the ownership of the sale to the client, getting the client to take tangible. Let's build a scorecard and see how this works. Your scorecard is on two columns, your gives and your gets. In the first column, write down the top 20 things that a typical customer asks you to do. These should range from the simple and easily executed tasks to costly and complex requests. At the low end, you'll find routine requests for information such as product descriptions and pricing plans that don't cost you much to fulfill. At the high end, you'll find discounts and free training and sweetened terms that will cost you dearly. After you've come up with 20 or so items, you should stack rank them according to their value to you. Typically, this is the time it takes you to do these things. Some things occur early, a qualifying call, for example, while other things such as a testimonial or training will occur later. For example, if a prospect asks you for a discount, you can counter by asking for an order. A discount may be an 18 or 19 on your list. Your next step is to write down all the things you want in your get column. This is a more difficult task as salespeople have been trained mostly to give. You obviously want a meeting with power, otherwise you're wasting your time. But you also want information about budget, the prospect's buying criteria, the length of their commitment, their willingness to buy in volume, and so on. You also want to stack rank these items according to where they fall in the sales negotiations. Now you have a sense of what you might ask for in response to a request for discount with an 18 rank. That means that you should look for an item far down your list of gets because if you grant them a discount, the sales negotiation should be near the end. You may ask for assurances that they'll buy in volume or guarantee a steady stream of purchases as a committed client, items at the top of your scorecard. If the prospects are not willing to reciprocate, you should justly question their sincerity. Let's take a look at an example. You work for a company that offers technology to create avatars that can be used in company training materials and presentations. Your first contact with Marge, a graphic designer at Ritzel & Rudison, was her request to be sent information on your avatar technology. That's an easy give. You can send her links and toss some brochures in the mail without batting an eye. But you want something in return. So you ask to set up a preliminary meeting. You want to require commitments early and often. In that meeting, Marge asks you to send her standard pricing options, as well as access to more detailed online demos. In order to determine if she's really a potential buyer or just window shopping, you ask her to explain who is buying power at Ritzel & Rudison, as well as their buying process. While she does not yet satisfy your initial request about power, Marge does explain to you the company's needs and outlines the buying process. While you're disappointed at not quite connecting with power, you also recognize that there's not a huge imbalance between your gives and your gets. At a subsequent meeting, Marge asks you to provide her graphic design team training on your programs. This is very high on your list of gives. You would have to set up and deliver the training sessions, which would require considerable expense. You therefore ask her to commit to bringing in decision makers and revealing what are the graphic training program vendors she's dealing with. At first, she's hesitant to do either, and she sidesteps your request. You're beginning to think that she has an agenda other than buying. You agree to provide the training, but you insist that to fully benefit from the training, she must arrange a meeting with her division vice president to discuss their needs. If Marge doesn't agree, then you're willing to terminate this sales relationship. Marge follows through by arranging the meeting. With the vice president's larger strategic plan in mind, you then provide training that really focuses on the company's particular needs. Marge finally brings up price, asking for a significant discount. Your scorecard provides you with a couple of options, and you offer a volume discount that requires her to buy more licenses, offering her more flexibility in using the product. The close is surprisingly easy, as you've proceeded logically through each phase of the negotiation. All along the way, you notice that the scorecard columns were pretty evenly balanced. Your totals weren't ever lopsided. But you can imagine how badly out of alignment they'd be if Marge kept asking you for things without granting you access to decision makers or outlining her budgetary constraints. You would have a dramatic illustration of the warped sales process, and you would be justified in purging the sales opportunity from your pipeline. Effectively bargaining with clients allows you to weed out poor prospects by verifying their level of commitment. It also establishes a cooperative relationship where the ownership of the sale is embraced by the prospect. Click an item to learn more. You may think the scorecard method creates tension and potential conflict at every stage of the sales process. Surely you can close a deal more smoothly when you're giving folks everything they've asked for with nothing required in return. But in reality, you will establish a better rapport when the relationship is not lopsided, when you can motivate your prospect to become engaged in the process. By asking prospects to take concrete action, you can verify their commitment, and you condition them to a reciprocal sales process. You don't reinforce their unilateral requests. Instead, you teach them to expect reasonable requests at each stage of the sales process.
Read the scenario and then click Next to begin the activity. Read the scenario and then click Next to begin the activity.
Do you want to be a better negotiator in your sales relationships? Then get out your scorecard and get down to business. You might, however, want a little practice before contacting your client. Let's look at a sales situation where you need to bargain. Let's imagine that you're meeting with a prospect. You've done your homework, you found a way to generate interest. Now, you're encouraging the prospect to share information about their needs. At this early stage, what you really want is the name of someone in the company who has buying power and can operate as your champion. Your prospect asks you for a demo. What do?
Just give them the demo. You want to show that you're willing to work with the client. This will help establish rapport.
I think I tell them what they need to do to profit fully from the demo. Maybe list the people who need to attend. That would include someone with buying power. That way, I get what I want without being a total jerk.
I prefer to be more direct than that. Providing a demo can be quite costly. No way I'm just going to provide a demo with the vague hope that they'll be interested. I would tell them I'll provide a demo only if I can meet with someone in power. Otherwise, I'm just wasting my time.